Hello everyone, here are OS Reviews. You're watching our unboxing and first impressions look at the Huawei MediaPad M5. So it's 2018 and it seems like it's rare and rarer to come across new Android-based tablets as our smartphones are getting larger and kind of fills the gap between that and a true laptop or computer. But Huawei is trying to gamble with a flagship level tablet in the form of the M5, and this is the 8.4-inch version, and it retails for around $460, a little bit shy of $500, so it's definitely expensive for a smaller 8-inch tablet. However, it also has the latest specs that we have come to expect, and similar to the Huawei Mate 10 Pro that we just reviewed, it also comes with pretty impressive silicon powering underneath the hood. That's the Kirin 960S in the case of the MediaPad M5, so not the 970 that we saw in the Mate 10 Pro, but it still has machine learning that is what Huawei claims capable of optimizing performance and battery efficiency as you use the tablet. It's an octa-core chipset. This particular version comes with 4 gigs of RAM and 64 gigs of built-in storage. The tablet also has a 2K display, so very high resolution. Also has stereo speakers that are high-res audio certified, tuned by Harman Kardon, so I also expect the audio quality to be excellent. Supports quick charging, has a 5,100 milliamp hour capacity, and is also made out of a unibody metal construction. The rear also has a 13 megapixel camera, and the tablet also has a kind of 4G LTE version as well that you can find through Huawei's website. So let's open up the box here and see what we have inside. The tablet sits right on the top. It does also have a fingerprint scanner, kind of like newer smartphones as well, on the front that you can tap your finger to unlock it for added security. And underneath here we have a Huawei kind of a standard quick charger. Setting this off to the side, we also have access to all the contents inside here. Again, there's a SIM ejector tool. This version, I believe, does support cellular connectivity, so you can pop in a SIM card and use it even when you don't have Wi-Fi connectivity. There's also access to an adapter for what looks like Type-C to 3.5 millimeters. That's not a very good sign. It probably means that this tablet doesn't have a standard headphone port. Finally, there's just the Type-C USB cable, which we can use to charge and sync information with a computer. So setting this off to the side and taking a look just at the tablet now, removing it from the plastic wrap, we have a very shiny and reflective surface, and again, Huawei is using their 2.5D curved glass, which gently curves off at the edges, creating a more seamless experience. Here's a front-facing camera, and on the bottom here, the aforementioned fingerprint scanner / home key. Bezel sizes are also fairly slim for a tablet, and you can see how it is very reasonable in terms of size, easy to tuck away. The edges of the tablet are constructed out of aluminum, as you can see, which wraps all the way around, continuing onto the back, so a very premium build and feel, as expected from a $500 tablet. And on the back there's that camera hump, which does protrude a little bit from the edges of the device. And there's also on the bottom here a Harman Kardon branded logo, along with speaker grills on the side as well. It's definitely a very slim tablet. In fact, it's probably the most impressive thing about it is really how slim it is, but I still think that Huawei probably could have implemented a standard headphone port somewhere. There's also the secondary speaker on the top, so again, audio should be very promising. So as it's booting up, it is running on EMUI or Emotion UI version 8.0. That's based off of Android Oreo. So pretty up to date as far as software is concerned, and considering that we just did a pretty heavy coverage on the Huawei Mate 10 Pro, the software really should seem quite similar. So we're trying to enroll a fingerprint now onto the sensor, which as you can see here in the visualization, it's still drawn as almost a smartphone, but the fingerprint scanner seems to be quite sensitive and fast at recognizing our prints for enrolling it. And it seems that now we are done and we can launch into EMUI. So as expected, again, it's a very similar version to what we've been seeing on the Mate 10 Pro that we, again, reviewed just a few days ago. And we have all of the same kind of accents and hints, which is still blue and black. Doesn't make as much sense, perhaps, on this model since it's a silver gray version, space gray version, as opposed to a blue version. But the accelerometer is actually activated by default on this tablet, so you can now rotate it in this horizontal view and still access everything very comfortably. There's also preloaded apps like Netflix, Instagram, along with Microsoft Word in addition to Excel, so some productivity as well, which makes sense on a larger tablet where you have a bigger room for multitasking, connecting it to a keyboard, things like that. There's also Booking.com, so a little bit of bloatware here and there that hopefully you can uninstall if you don't necessarily want to use them. And then all the standard Google tools and services are on here as well. This acts as a home key when you tap on it once, but it doesn't physically depress like a real button. It just gives you a haptic feedback. It's basically a sensor that is flush and doesn't press down. There's no other keys on the left and right edges of the bezels, and they are still going to be on screen, as you can see here down below. And you can access things like Google Assistant, for instance, multitasking, and you can also long hold to activate standard Android Oreo commands, very similar to something like Force Touch, for instance, on iPhones. And kind of just very quickly taking a look at some of these other apps. Again, very typical compared to the Mate 10 Pro that we just saw. Only differences being that there's the inclusion of some Microsoft productivity apps out of the box. So going into settings very quickly, we also have a slightly different interface where we have a split screen now instead of just one panel that shows off settings and more advanced details on the right, very similar to what iOS and iPads have. So it makes use of the larger screen, giving you a split screen view for productivity. And let's switch the screen again and just very quickly take a look at About the System. And About Tablet, again, we are running on Android EMUI 8.0 based on Android 8.0. And again, we have roughly 51 gigs out of the 64 gigs free in terms of storage. So about 10 gigs is taken up by the operating system, which is pretty much the same that we saw on the Mate 10 Pro. So if we just very quickly turn it off and try turning it on back again by putting our fingerprint there, you can see how quick it is to pop open, as expected from a flagship level device. And again, Huawei's fingerprint scanners have always been traditionally very quick, fluid, and responsive. If I just turn this on again, you also have this animated changing wallpaper that goes through different images as you cycle back and forth and turn it on repeatedly to give you kind of a different mood depending on when you pick it up. So that's more or less it as far as our hands-on first impressions of the MediaPad M5. And although it's a very promising tablet in terms of obviously delivering fast performance and a beautiful build quality, there are two big questions that remain. The first being that whether it really is justifiable for the more expensive price compared to something like a $200 Android tablet. This is another 8-inch tablet. It's the Lenovo P8, which is another very popular model that is affordable and also offers pretty decent performance. And you can see that in terms of dimensions, they are roughly the same, although obviously with the Huawei, you're getting a much more premium build and construction and a sharper display as well. And secondly, whether it's able to really compete among other premium tablets as well, such as the Apple iPads, which, if you think about it, also sells for around $500, and that is a 9.7-inch, a 10-inch display versus something like this, which is smaller, more portable, but as far as the value is concerned, might be a little bit more questionable. Although if you're invested in Google's ecosystem, it does of course run on Android, which is a differentiator with iOS. So be sure to stay tuned for more videos as well as our full review on this MediaPad M5 coming out soon. But for now, this has just been our unboxing. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.